Hey guys, Jason here for ChartGuys, taking a look at the coronavirus tickers that we covered a couple weeks ago. Someone had posted on one of my older videos asking for a recap and checking back in on these stocks and knew it was a great idea. So before we get into it, let's talk about why we covered it originally. And what we were interested in was protecting people's capital in the sense that a lot of these stocks haven't done much for quite a long time, and the run up from the $3 mark and the $8 mark was largely based on fear. So because it runs up quickly, it's likely to come down quickly, and it hasn't come down quite as quickly as it ran up, but there's certainly a fade going on. And the reason for that is not that the virus is less of a threat now, it's that we have slowly become accustomed to the news, and it is becoming normal to hear about all of those headlines coming out of China and other countries where the infection is spreading and people are still dying. But we grow accustomed to it. And because we grow accustomed to it, the fear that drove that market spike starts to fade, and we see an overall downtrend. So we're going to check back in on our tickers and see where they are, what's happening, who's strong, who's not. And really, before we do that, I also should suggest that we're not likely to see massive run-ups in these names unless we see a big fear or a big spike in fear. So keep your eye on the headlines. If there's a major outbreak inside the United States or India or another populated country, then we're likely to see some action on these names. Otherwise, I suspect we'll see more of a slow fade as that news becomes normal and the virus just becomes part of every day. So APT, we'll start there on the daily time frame. Overall, APT has been in a daily downtrend since we hit our highs. And what we look at as a daily downtrend is that we're simply getting our run up, and the bulls get as strong as they can. They hit their highs and then they pull back. And we see that here at our 714, we see our new low, we see a lower high, we see a pullback, and we seem to be getting a double top based on today's action right around 594, 598. So I would be looking at $6 psychological as that major area of resistance. But what is happening overall is that we're getting these lower highs and lower lows, and unless we see a big break over 6 psychological tomorrow, it's likely we're going to see more downside and look for a new test and a new low underneath the most recent one, which was 2 days ago, right there at 461. So right now what we're looking for is that overall daily downtrend to continue unless bulls can smash through 6 psychological. What's interesting is the big volume here. I'm not sure what caused this, and I've noticed this on a couple names. Perhaps that's why someone has asked us to take a look at these tickers again. But until this daily downtrend changes, we are still looking for downside action. So we need to see the bulls conclusively hold over $6. And what that is going to mean for me is that we're going to get a high, we need to bounce, we need to confirm support, and we need to get a nice trend that shows us the bulls are comfortable above $6. Otherwise, what we're looking for is downside activity with a slow move to retest that 461 level. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame, see what's going on there. 4-hour trend is trying to change, and it has not yet changed. So what we need to see for a 4-hour trend is going to be this high, a new high, a higher low over 461, and then another high. Once we get that new higher low, that is going to change the trend. Otherwise, we can simply just fade here and have a false breakout, big pushback, and continued downside. So overall, not a lot to write home about on APT. We'll keep a close eye on this 4-hour trend, and we need that 4-hour trend to change before we're going to be interested in any longer term potential upside. We're checking out LAKE, another one, very similar situation, not quite as strong. We are seeing our original high up here, lower high, now looking for a lower high and looking for continued fade and lack of bull strength. Our daily resistance is up here. Let's turn those magnets on. Every video, I tell you, 1339 is going to be that level. Bulls need to get a higher high over top of 1339 to change the story. Otherwise, we're just looking at a daily downtrend. And at this point, 1176 is our support. So what we can expect, this is a little bit of indecision doji. If we see some strength tomorrow, that's great. It's not going to be unexpected, but we're looking for a lower high under 1339. So we'll be looking for hourly trend changes somewhere in here. That is likely going to mean we've locked in that lower high on the daily time frame. Bulls need to get over 1339 with substantial volume and interest for me to be looking at this more long-term for the bull side. I'm just trying to be optimistic here and look for things that I may be missing because, you know, obviously I'm looking at this daily downtrend. I got a daily bias, but I do see a tightening range of sorts here. So I'm just checking the 4-hour time frame to see if we've got anything that we can consider a wedge. And I'm just not happy with anything in here looking wedge-like. It's a pretty conclusive 4-hour downtrend with a nice little base of support being established. And let's check that out. There we go. 1174, 1176 is our low, so that's going to be a key level. If we break that, then it's likely we're going to be heading back down into the 10s, filling this gap here. And the only reason we're going to be filling that gap is because there's a lack of support beyond that point. And that is what the bears like to do. When there's a lack of support, they have complete control and they drive the price down. CODX looking a little bit stronger than the other names here. We're in overall almost a daily uptrend. We're certainly getting higher lows the last few days, but we are seeing hesitation and indecision candlesticks. So we're going to be looking primarily at the 4-hour time frame. However, on the daily, we do have support right there at 307. So I'll be looking for support if we had a big bearish test in the area of 307. Likely our EMA 12 is going to update tomorrow and put us closer to that 307 support. So that is a good candidate for a nice support-based play for a bottom fish. And otherwise, we're just going to be looking for more of the same. So a slow and meandering move to the upside. Not a lot of volume, not a lot of definitive action in the charts here. But what's important is establishing these bases of support. And you can see that we're bouncing pretty conclusively off of our EMA 12. So best case scenario for the bulls would be a quick flush to that EMA 12 level. Let's pretend that EMA tomorrow, EMA 12 is in the 304, 306 range. That's ideal. Lines up really nice with that low on the 4-hour time frame. Almost looking like a little bit of a head and shoulders here. So what we would be concerned about at this point would be this high, higher high, lower high. And if we lose that 307 level, then we're looking for more downside with the base of support. The nearest 4-hour support really over here at 231. So a pretty substantial move if we lose that support and we see bearish follow through on the break of this head and shoulders pattern. However, if they manage to change that trend, get nice support and get a good bottom fish opportunity around 307, we don't have too far to go to get a new higher high and continue this 4-hour uptrend. Let's check out VIR. This is a weaker name compared to what we just looked at actually. And what I'm concerned about here is the momentum that the bears have. And we're going to be looking at a test of the 16 psychological area of support. There's a little bit of support probably on the 4-hour time frame, maybe even the hourly, but there is a lot of momentum here, and volume is picking up for the bears of the Marabouzo close, which means they're going to have some momentum going into tomorrow. There's possibly a bottom fish opportunity against 16 psychological, but if we lose that, we don't have a lot of support in the daily time frame until we're down here in the $12 range. So keep that in mind. Bears definitely in complete control of this 4-hour time frame, the daily time frame, and there's our 16 psychological support. I don't see any other signs of potential turnaround yet, so that is the bottom fish opportunity for VIR against 16 psych. NVAX, a little bit stronger name here, bouncing off of our EMA 26, trying to change the daily uptrend, or I should say the daily trend to the uptrend. Here we are looking at lower highs, lower lows. We've established our low. Almost looks like a double bottom, very close to it. 626 is a low, 626 is a low, so we do have a confirmed double bottom, looking to change that daily trend. Now, we haven't changed the daily trend yet because we haven't established a higher low or seen any daily consolidation. So bulls are in control of this week, but they haven't given us a nice daily base of support. So as soon as we start losing these daily higher lows, so 751, if we see action tomorrow that has us coming up and then breaking that pattern of setting these consistent higher lows, we're going to be looking for 4-hour consolidation. So that is what we expect right now, and that's what we would like to see for optimal entry. A 4-hour consolidation, then testing the daily EMA 12 for continued upside, and that would lock in that daily trend change. 4-hour time frame has given us a little bit of the stair-step action, and it's going to be more definitive on the hourly time frame, setting these hourly higher lows. So once we lose, let's go back to the daily time frame. Once we start losing our higher lows, what we're going to look for would be the beginning of that hourly trend change with our last hourly support down at 767. So if we lose that, and then we lose our daily higher lows, we're going to be looking for 4-hour consolidation because we're going to have a total break of this hourly uptrend. We're going to be looking at hourly downtrend, and we're going to be looking to lose key supports. And in fact, we will have a lower high on the 4-hour time frame at that point. So it's all about finding the most likely outcome and being prepared for it. If you're looking at NVAX long and you start to see a big red day, you may be panicking and saying, look, it's all over. But if you know what the 4-hour trend is doing and the hourly trend is doing, and you're expecting a daily higher low to form, those are the optimal times to find your entries. So that applies to everything, not just these Corona tickers. It's all about getting in when things look scary, but understanding why things look scary. And that is really the hardest part of trading, I think. People often wait until things are really moving to the upside, and that's why we get trapped in things like APT on the daily time frame when it's run up for so many days, and you look at this and say, look how much it's gone up. It could go to $15. I could double my money if I buy it today. But by the time we get up here, we've already exhausted the price. And we know that the opportune time is when we fall back down and we bounce against key support levels and key EMAs that give us opportunity. Anyway, last ticker, INO on the daily time frame. What catches my attention here is the big volume spike today. That would be a little bit unexpected, and I'm not sure if there's fundamental news that has driven the interest in this, but we are at the precipice of changing the daily trend. So here's our low. We pushed a new high. We pushed back down pretty quickly, set a low at 326, and then we pushed back up, breaking that previous area near double top resistance, so 390 to 392, so 2-cent spread. Looks like we've broken over top of that. We haven't closed over that, so I'm interested to see what this looks like on the 5-minute time frame, but 390 seems to be a key resistance, and bulls are in control all the way to 326. So let's jump right into that 15-minute time frame. Let's take a look at what happened here. And was 390 a key level for us? It doesn't appear to be. It looks like it did act as a cloud of resistance. And when I say cloud, I mean there is a fuzzy sort of level. For some reason, we slowed down here. We back tested and we held a little bit of support here. And it looks like we've retested and retaken that level. So it's not a nice, clean level that we'd like to trade against or even try to bottom push against. But there is something there that is causing that level for us to be a important one. So tomorrow, what would we look for on INO? We just saw the 5-minute time frame is looking pretty strong. We're at 410 after hours. So that is very close to, well, it's actually above today's high a day. So the ideal situation for the bulls would be a high open in the area of 410, a flush down to 4 psychological and that 396 magical level, hold that as a support and look for continued upside, assuming that we have bullish intent and bullish interest in the volume to back that up. So this is interesting so far, and it's one of the stronger names, probably as interesting as CODX is. The only reason I would be more interested in CODX is because it's given us more consistent upside than INO's potential upside, but certainly something to be said here for the volume. Anyway, that's it for the coronavirus tickers. I hope you enjoyed the update, and if you are interested in learning how to read the charts and interpret and plan your moves based on most likely outcomes, technical analysis is the only tool that you should be using. And if you want to learn more about how to do that, ChartGuys.com, send me an email, send me a message, even post on YouTube, leave a comment. I'll help you out as much as I can. I love doing this stuff, and thank you for watching. Have a good night.